Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max and Trevor with BuzzTox here with our breakdown for Eastwatch. What's going on, Trev?
Oh man, that was a good ep.
You think it was a good ep?
It was a good ep.
So what are your initial thoughts? Do you have any what big positive or negative things did you pull from this episode?
It's like when the tide goes out for a tsunami to come. So all the things that needed to happen happened in this episode because we know we're getting a good one next time.
Yeah, I watched it again, and then maybe you can change my mind as we talk about it, but I feel like it was extremely rushed, and it clouded certain character motives to make the plot work.
How so?
I feel like they forced things to happen that wouldn't really happen. The whole capture the wight thing, I feel like, was thrown in there just to get the group of guys going north, and I feel like there were, Jaime getting pulled out of the water the way he did. I feel like there were a lot of plot stretches just to move the story forward. And I feel like it was, kind of lazy in a way. And there were certain things that I wanted when Tyrion went and spoke to Jaime again. I feel like the scene should have been done. It was a good scene, but it should have been done better. Tyrion literally said, do you think I wanted to be a dwarf? Do you think I wanted this? And then Jaime's like, oh, okay, I'll go talk to Cersei. You know what I mean? I feel like there was no true depth. And they're skipping over the depth, and they're just telling this really fast, straightforward story.
I don't know, man. It seemed like they do have a lot to cram into a single episode, but I thought that was all right for what it is. You know what I mean? They were able to get out of it the tension that you wanted, and it was a surprise. What was cool about it was a surprise to us too. I didn't know he was going to meet Jaime. I felt like I missed maybe something where they said why he was going to King's Landing.
I feel like there's a lack of depth. With my predictions, they were in better depth and they made more sense than what happened in the show. I don't like how Tyrion all of a sudden came up with the idea to go to go to King's Landing, and then Davos just decides to go see Gendry. He's not useful at all other than Davos wanted to go see him. He doesn't push the plot forward other than the producers wanted him on the show, so they found a way to make that happen.
Oh, I thought they mentioned about a smith because they needed a smith to make weapons. Maybe I filled that in on my head because they got all this dragon stone now.
And just the whole purpose to me didn't make sense. Why would they let Tyrion go into King's Landing? And I don't know, the whole thing to me seemed really far-fetched. And the purpose of them going to King's Landing I thought was silly. A secret meeting in King's Landing? Seriously? Is that actually what's going to happen? She would sacrifice her hand of the queen? Daenerys would let her hand go into King's Landing and negotiate with Jaime? To me, it just didn't make any sense. And you can't really guarantee that. And, yeah, and then Gendry was kind of thrown in the back burner. Oh, you might as well throw him in there. So
no, I think Gendry's important. The way that they introduced him was maybe a little bit jumping in with 2 feet with it because we haven't seen him in so long, right?
Yeah, I hope next episode isn't handled. I hope it's handled well. I hope things don't get really unrealistic and out of hand because I feel like this episode it's stretched a little too far for my liking.
Well, again, not enough real estate to tell the whole story. Because I feel that I agree with you that they maybe could have stretched the events of this episode over 2 episodes and filled it in with more padding and more story. You get what I mean? Not padding as bad stuff or filler, but more, like you said, the Jaime moment, the Jaime Tyrion moment. The whole thing with why Gendry is now a major player, it seems like, right?
Yeah,
it's almost like in passing. Everything's in passing now because they're trying to get to that actual good story.
I don't know. It just frustrates me sometimes because the producers of the show have constantly said, we only have this much story to tell. We're not shrinking. We're not trying to hurry or rush the story. And, to me, this episode was a pure example of rushing the story. We see Jorah arrive on Dragonstone, share one scene with Daenerys, and then leave to go north of the Wall. And why? What is his motive? This is what annoyed me about the episode. They all of a sudden decide to capture a wight, and Daenerys has been against it this whole season, and now all of a sudden she's okay with sending Jorah up north? It just didn't add up to me.
Well, he kind of volunteered.
He asked Daenerys, Jorah asked Daenerys, like, let me serve you, let me go north. He's not serving Daenerys because Daenerys, that's not of her concern at all. That's Jon's concern. So I just think the motives were crowded and they didn't make any sense. Why was Tyrion showing, like, why did Tyrion all of a sudden want to stop or seize the war effort to try and capture this wight? And they're trying to get a truce all of a sudden because they believe in the White Walkers now. I just thought it was a stretch.
Well, Jon's really selling it to these guys, though.
Yeah, he's selling it. My crippled brother saw it. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand it. And she's still, and Jon even says later in the episode, like, he's going to prove to Daenerys. Like, why is Jorah there? Like, I don't know. The whole thing to me seemed kind of...
Well, no, you're missing a whole thing. So there's two things. Now, Bran sent that raven out to everybody saying this is what's happening. So there's corroborating evidence that there is something fucked up north of the wall. So now they get it from somewhere else, and it's exactly what Jon's saying. And at the same time, now there's a political move for a PR move, where we could say, Cersei doesn't believe in this shit. She thinks it's old man tales. Let's capture one. I believe you, Jon, now that you have the evidence. Go get real evidence so we can prove Cersei wrong and undermine her authority.
Yeah, but it's like, I get that Daenerys could somewhat believe Jon and want him to go north, but like, just to send Jorah didn't make any sense. And Bran sending that to everybody, I feel like it wouldn't turn everybody on Bran's side. Like, the Maesters refused to really accept it. So I feel like a lot of people in Westeros are still struggling with that fact. But I don't know. We'll get into it later. I just want to go through this episode in chronological order. Usually we focus in on characters, but this time every scene set up the next scene. Like, we can't just focus on one area because everybody was all over the place this episode.
Yeah.
But we start off with Bronn, and he ends up dragging Jaime out of the water. And first complaint, Jaime still had his heavy armor on that resulted in him sinking hardcore, but Bronn was able to pull him out. To me, it didn't really make any sense.
Well, so what I gathered from this is what was so laughable. Everyone was saying, like, oh, he's sunk to the bottom of the ocean. When we first started this episode, weren't we talking about this? And I said, like, that was like a James Bond intro. Like, that was an exaggeration of, like, Jaime thinks in his mind that he sunk to the bottom of the ocean. When really, if you look at the scene, he's literally running in the water with the horse. He gets jumped by Bronn, and they fall, like, into maybe, like, 2 or 3 foot deep water. Right? And then what it seems like to me was where they come out is almost if they got washed down river. They didn't come out where they went in.
It just, like, I just don't... To
right?
me, it's so weird.
They just kind of skipped over that.
They ended up so far away, and then they ended up escaping, and it's just... Okay, that's fine. Well, I think this scene did kind of set up Bronn bringing Tyrion and Jaime together. Because he said when dragons hit King's Landing, he's not going to be there. And I think he does have respect for Tyrion. He knows both sides. He knows Jaime. He knows Tyrion.
Exactly.
And I think it set him up well to bring the two together. Because it's in Bronn's best interest to bring them together. Because he doesn't want to fight against dragons. Because he knows he won't really get what he's owed if that happens.
Well, think, like, they've almost... At this point in the series now, it's almost like they've been through the same amount of stuff together. A little bit more on Tyrion's side because we've seen more scenes with him. But if you think about, like, the whole... Them going to Dorne... Him and Jaime have seen a lot of shit together, and they've bailed each other out. And they're like friends now. It's not like he could just bail on his friend. He says he could because Bronn's that type of, like, macho kind of guy. But at the same time, he's a secret BFF kind of guy. Like, he likes having these Lannisters as his friends.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, he pretends to be this way, and he is a badass, but he still has, like, room in his heart for these Lannister guys because of the time that he spent with them.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, you saw him look at the bag of gold in the episode prior and then look at what he needed to do in order to kind of save the day, and he ended up choosing to save the day. Like, he could have literally bailed, like he said in this episode about dragons, he's done, and he could have just left, but he chose not to. So they're setting it up for a more heroic ending.
Yeah, we'll see. And I think it did start with him. And I think it did start with him bringing Tyrion and Jaime together. But the scene pretty much ends with Jaime saying that he has to go tell Cersei. But then on the other side of the river, there's Tyrion, and he's walking the grounds of where the war took place. Everything's ash. And I think they did. They really hit home that Tyrion's kind of traumatized. He doesn't like war. He doesn't like what's going on. And we watch him kind of, the Dothraki are escorting all of the betraying Tarly and Lannister soldiers to Daenerys. And this scene took place. So Daenerys ends up talking to these remaining soldiers, and Drogon's standing on a forest, like a nest. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, he's huge.
They're like treating every scene, like they're sparing no expense on every scene just to kind of create that in-depth world. You know what I mean? I thought it was really well done. But, she says her piece. She says that she's not Cersei, and she will offer, them peace if they bend the knee and support her, or they're going to die. And Tyrion seems like she disagrees with Daenerys' idea of killing them if they don't bend the knee. Randall Tarly comes forward and says that he has a queen, and he was thinking about Cersei. And Tyrion tries to persuade him to bend the knee or take the black, but Randall denounces it. He just totally disagrees. And then dumbass Dickon steps forward and says that he's Randall Tarly's son, and he also refuses to bend the knee. And Tyrion keeps pushing that motive, like take the black, make them, put them in the cell. But they refuse, so then Daenerys ends up killing him. So I feel like this scene was trying to push us that she's like this. She's changing into like the Mad Queen, which I didn't read at all. Like, do you think what Daenerys did was justified?
No, she had to do what she says.
I know, that's what I thought. And it's like, I think the show was trying to get us on Tyrion's side. But, I get it. You want to cage, he is a family house. But, you have to do what you say.
See, I interpret Tyrion's emotions in this whole thing as something totally different. I don't think he has a problem with war. He saw all those people in Essos burn and had no qualms about it. But when he came home and he realized his like dudes, if he was ever an heir to the Lannister thrones, these would be his men, died because of him.
I agree,
is a totally different story, and it's a wake-up call, seeing the gravity and the reality of the situation. Like, these men are going to die because they're not going to listen to this foreigner queen, and he's thinking about it in a different way. And he feels guilty because he's between two worlds right now.
Yeah, and it's like a whole new side of war. Like, he said, like, don't behead them, but she said, I'm not beheading anyone, insinuating that she's going to burn them. So I guess, it just shows the differences, and it's hard for him to grasp because it's bad for her reputation too, because she's going around, she just exterminated a family house, but it was justified. Yeah.
And it will, like, you know what I mean? There's the greater good. Yes, she burned these dudes alive, but at the same time, the next time that this happens, people will bend the knee without having to do that. That's the move. I don't think she wants to just burn everybody, but she's putting it out there that, like, hey, if you don't bend the knee, you're gonna get burnt. And people tend more, like you saw it in this episode, they all bent the knee after that happened.
Yeah.
And word's gonna spread, like, no, she toasts dudes that don't listen to her, bend the knee.
Yeah.
Right? That's a strategy as old as time. That's what's so weird about it, because Tyrion is like, it's almost like culture shock all of a sudden for him, because he's back on home turf, that they don't really do this. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they burn Mance Rayder up in at the wall. So there is a little bit of it, but it's just even crazier because it's dragons, and it is a bad PR because of what her I guess grandfather did, or her father did, right?
Right.
So I don't know. You could see it either way. I don't know if they're trying to peg her as the Mad Queen, like she's slowly turning into him, but I don't know. I don't see it that way yet. She hasn't done anything crazy yet.
Yeah, no, me too. I agree.
Or, like, she hasn't done anything off the cuff of what she's already done before.
Yeah,
it might just not suit Westeros, is all.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's just a difference between Essos and here.
Yeah.
But then she hops on Drogon and she ends up flying back to Dragonstone. Jon ends up watching. He ends up petting her dragon, Drogon. Which I thought, it was an interesting way to show, like, his heritage, I guess. Mm-hmm. So Jon's pretty much unsure how he feels about her using dragons to win the war. But she does make a point in defense about the Battle of the Bastards and how many lives were lost. And in order to help people, they have to take the position of strength. And sometimes that ends up, hurting people.
Well, that's what goes back to what I'm saying. If you burn one boat with everybody on it, the whole fleet might surrender and saving a ton of people.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a catch-22. It seems awful because of the initial action, but at the end of it, you've saved lives, even though you've taken lives in a heinous way. It mitigates the amount of death that you have to do.
Yeah, and that's literally exactly what she did in season 6. She burned one ship and got the rest to surrender.
Exactly. But that's what I mean, though. I can see it from both sides, because this side had dealt with a king that just burnt everything that got in his way.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think they're trying to do that. It just seems like to Tyrion, it's like, oh fuck, this is for real. We're here. We're doing this, and now this is happening.
Yeah, I think Varys and Tyrion's perception on her burning people is correct in one way and wrong in the other. I get it. They'd be worried about her reputation and people supporting her, because power resides where people believe or want it to reside. But at the same time, I feel like they're wrong in the sense that they're worried that she's going to be like her father, or they feel like with the right counsel she won't be. I just feel like that concern isn't really necessary right now. I feel like she's just doing what has to be done.
No, exactly. And it doesn't seem like she's gone wild. It just seems like it's hard to articulate, and I feel like we're kind of going around in circles on the same thing because we agree. But to me, it just seems like they're being almost superstitious because of what her father did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They think that she's going to fall into this loop. And I don't see that happening at all. She's got to do what she's got to do. And this is what has won her power to this point. It's just unfortunate that the history of Westeros had such a recent king that kind of acted in such a way that people didn't like. And that's what was the end of him. So that's why they're nervous. And they're stressed out about repeating history.
And one more thing. So Jon just pets Drogon. I wish Rhaegal made an appearance. I don't know why they introduced it with a petting. Do you think we're gonna see more going forward about Jon's connection to Rhaegal? I wish they introduced it in this scene, but they haven't introduced his relationship with Rhaegal. So do you think we're gonna get that at all this season?
Well, I had a guy at work come up and ask me, because I guess he was reading the theory pages, and he was saying, he's like, dude, he's like, the only people that have pet a dragon are Daenerys, Jon, and Tyrion.
Yeah. So
the tinfoil hats are out now for this dragon blood, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. This petting scene, if you will, was a lot more involved. His pupils were dilating, and there was tension because Daenerys couldn't see actually what was going on, and he totally wooed this dragon. So there's something more to it. They wouldn't spend their precious minutes of film if it had no significance. You know what I mean? This is definitely important. So yes, we will see more connection with Jon and dragons, not just this one.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like they have such a huge opportunity to have him ride a dragon potentially next episode. Yeah, because they're trapped on a rock in the trailer. But it's I feel like they're not gonna do it. We see him riding away on a horse, and it's of course they do that. Instead of using the plot points of him being a Targaryen, he can connect to a dragon. They're just gonna throw him on a horse that's gonna be half-handedly thrown in there. You know what I mean? It's just I feel like they're just taking the most simple way out without bringing any depth to the story in this episode, especially.
Well, if you're predicting what happens in the next one, we sort of had our talk about it, and it's it's really hard to figure out why the dragons would come to his aid. There's only a couple special instances where this happened, because we got to think, who knows where he is north of the wall next episode, right? He's not letting anyone know. They're literally just going out to try and find these guys and capture one. It doesn't seem like they really have a plan at all, right?
Yeah.
This is not as if these things just travel by themselves. They're usually in groups, as far as Jon knows from Hardhome. It's just a roving army of dead. So I don't know what their plan was to do, because as soon as one picked up that they were there, they would just all turn and get them. So that I agree that maybe this is the unrealistic part about the plan, but nobody else would know where they are, right?
Yeah.
So how would a dragon come to their rescue?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I hope they touch on that plot point, and I hope it just shoehorned into it, and we're supposed to like suspend disbelief. Because like if Jon sends a raven getting Daenerys to go, like we know that she ends up coming north, which is crazy because she's staying in Dragonstone, so that's a long hike. And Jon is already significantly ahead of them. So like if he ends up calling a dragon over, or he sends her a raven, like I'd be pissed, because it's like, it's tense. Like you can't wait a couple days for Daenerys to fly from Dragonstone to over the wall at Eastwatch. It
can't be that. It honestly cannot be that. Because it would make no sense. Because like I said, how even Daenerys, how the fuck would she know where they are? There's no way. Even if he sent a raven and said, I'm north of the Eastwatch, about 2 days hike, we're near this mountain. She still has never been to this place ever, and she's expected to fly in and save him? It's impossible.
Yeah, so
even if you had today's technology, it would be impossible to find 5 guys on the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
That would be really unrealistic.
It's annoying.
I really don't think that's how it's going to resolve.
It's annoying looking at it, though, because I feel like the odds are all stacked up against it. Because, like, just based on the previews and everything, like, wights are storming in. It's just a mess. Like, I don't know how they're gonna make it seem appropriate without bending the plot or logic a little bit. But
well, okay, let's go down the logic tree here. Who would know? Who's the only person really that would know exactly where they are?
I don't know.
The only person I think that's south of the wall that would know exactly where they are, because he can literally see it, is Bran. Bran's the only one. So if a dragon is set to rescue them, right, then it's got to be Bran. It's got to be Bran sending the raven or warging into one of these dragons or doing something in order to get the message to them that this is exactly where they are, because there's no other way they can logically resolve this.
Oh, I hope so.
It's not by happenstance. It's not by fate. It just seems kind of crazy if they don't fill this plot point in.
Yeah, I hope so. But anyways, the scene does show like Daenerys kind of has an interest in Jon, but then Jorah arrives. And it was just, it was good seeing them come back together. But again, like I feel like it was rushed. Daenerys said he looked strong and gave him a hug. Cool. And that's the reunion we get until he leaves later in the episode.
Yeah. But it's, again, you gotta think, man. It's a love-hate relationship with them. She's pissed at him for all the shit he's done, but she's happy that he's back.
I think they're past that now, man. There's no hate anymore.
Hey, it's a little bit, though. She knows he's loyal, but at the same time, it's like, it's tough. It's not just black and white. It's very gray. And for him, it's like, obviously, we know his motives. He's just like head over heels for her. And he's completely loyal. And that's why he's back and he's ready to do whatever. And he wants to prove himself as that guy.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem like there's any competitive nature to it. Like, I don't even think he's picked up on that she might like Jon yet.
Yeah.
It's just like, he's back. I'm Jorah. This was my spot before. Okay, let's get back down to business.
Yeah,
I don't want to deal with the awkwardness of everything that's happened before.
And a really good thing from this scene that I think is that like in the last episode, Jon was talking to Missandei, and she was talking about how good of a leader Daenerys was, and then here she got to see Jorah, who is a house under the House Stark, like their bannerman of House Stark. The fact that he got to see how loyal he was to Daenerys, and then she gave him a hug, kind of showed what kind of a leader she was, and I think that kind of spoke volumes to Jon, I would say. But I think that'd be another important aspect of the scene.
Well, that's what I feel like. Daenerys' leadership went out the window after the first scene with the dragon. It was almost like anything anyone said was good. She didn't have any like input to say, you know what, this doesn't really make much sense, or she didn't deny anything, she didn't question anything. It was just like, we're going north, we're getting this thing, and she's like, okay, and he's like, I'm out of here, and she's like, okay. Like, there was very, very little resistance. So I don't know if it's supposed to be because she's totally smitten with Jon that this happened, but she really let down her guard in that every scene after the first.
Okay, well, we get into that scene right after Bran. We better get a lot of Bran next episode. He better play a vital role, because I hope that they don't do all these shitty plot things.
He better be feeling some roots.
Yeah, but we see Bran warging into a bunch of crows, and I guess he warged into a bunch because he needs more eyes than one. I guess it's just more secure. But I found it interesting because the crow's eyes kept pulsating white. So
it was almost like he had a bad signal.
No, to me, I read it, it could be, but to me, I read it as like he's way more powerful now that instead of warging in a one, he's simultaneously warging alternatively between all of these crows.
Yeah.
So he's flying all these crows at once, just to show how like crazy he is.
I like that better than my thoughts on it.
Yeah, but we see them fly over Eastwatch, and then we pretty much see the Night King look at the crows, and they immediately scatter. So, you know, for me and the Night King, we've been talking about it for a while. It's like, it seems to me that he's connected to these weirwood trees because they're surrounded in ice, and he's standing on ice, so he is always connected.
Yeah.
And I just think that the reason why he was able to touch Bran is because he's always connected to the weirwood tree world, the vision world, as well as the physical world. And like, he could see Bran as a person in those crows, and he could kind of shut him out because he has that ability also.
Like Lord of the Rings reference. So when Frodo or anyone would put on the ring, they would be able to, like the Black Riders would be able to see where he was. It's almost like as soon as you check in, everyone sees that you've checked in.
Yeah.
Right? And the Night King especially. But no, it's at the same time, though, he didn't notice them until they were really close. So Bran does have an ability.
Yeah.
Right? You would think like, okay, they're getting pretty close. I can look up at them, but he knew as soon as they were there, and they were pretty close though. Right. So it's one of those things like Bran's getting more powerful, but not as powerful as the Night King at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we see Bran get more emotional, and he has this whole show. We need to send ravens. And then that ends up affecting the whole story going forward. So Maester Walken sends all these ravens. First we see Maester Ebrose and other maesters get it, and they read Bran's letter. And Sam calls them out, knowing immediately that it was Bran, telling them that he let Bran go over the wall years ago, and that it must be really important because there hasn't been anybody to survive beyond the wall. But Bran, a crippled boy, has been able to do it, and he's back at Winterfell. So Sam makes some suggestions to them, because they obviously don't believe Bran's claims. Sam wants them to listen to what Bran has to say, and he wants the maesters to take responsibility and tell all of Westeros this so they can be prepared, because they are respected. And he also wants the maesters to read old books to try and get informed on the threat of the White Walkers, because maybe they could find a way to defeat them for good.
Yeah.
But it pretty much ends up with them not believing Sam. Archmaester Ebrose, you can see that he respects Sam, and he just wants to get more clarification on the issue. And while Sam leaves, Ebrose admits that he hasn't told Sam that his brother and father have died. So, do you think that this is going to play a role with Sam at all, with his dad and his brother being alive? Or dead, sorry. Right now his sister and his mom is alive. at Hornhill. I just wonder if Sam's going to find out and if it plays an important role for him going forward. And, like, he stole his dad's sword, Heartsbane, and you'd think that would come up later, but it hasn't. And it seems like Sam's role right now is to go somewhere and steal shit.
Yeah, but he hasn't read anything. I was really thinking he was going to get to the bottom of something and then flee from the Citadel.
Yeah, like, I thought he'd learn about forging Valyrian steel. That way you could pull Gendry into it without making it feel forced.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Sam's one, I don't know. It's sort of like a dead end with me.
Like
I get why he left. He's not being respected. But at the same time, he didn't get anything out of it. He literally went in, grabbed 5 books, and left.
It was just, I don't know.
How does he know what exactly the books that he needed to get?
Yeah. It could have been done better. Like, this feels like, honestly, my predictions were better than this, like, fan fiction. Like, it's like, Sam went there we get a montage of him cleaning up shit. We get him curing Jorah of grayscale because, hey, they figured out that giving Jorah grayscale was a bad move, so they wanted to backtrack on it. It's like they couldn't even commit to that, so they cure him of this incurable disease, which is ridiculous. And then they have Sam not learn anything. They throw in a cheeky nod to Rhaegar being married somewhere else, but they brush that off, and he steals a bunch of books and leaves. Like, he didn't really get anything from it. So yeah, I agree. It's frustrating.
He's not any better off.
Yeah,
at this point,
it's frustrating.
He hasn't learned anything from the Citadel other than the Citadel is just a bunch of bureaucrats with books. Yeah. So do we think that the books that he grabbed has the exact information that he needs?
He'd be quite lucky if it did. And he left just because he felt like he wasn't able to do anything, rather than like leaving because of urgency. I don't know.
Yeah. You think he'll be called back?
No, they probably won't even touch on it because they won't have time.
I don't think this season. Or you just think like he's now an incomplete maester.
He's not even a maester. Like, I would love for him to get something out of it, but he's not. He's just a guy who left. Like, I don't know. Yeah,
that's what's weird about Sam's story right now.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And now he's gonna go there with Bran, and I guess he's gonna be his interpreter. But I just wish he got more out of it.
Well, when the chips fall with this war that's upcoming, maybe it will be something different.
Like this was literally Sam's discovery. There's dragon glass on Dragonstone. That was literally it. And it was thrown into the plot to give Sam something to do, even though Stannis told Sam in season 5.
Yeah.
Oh, so annoying.
It will. So I agree. It will be very annoying if the answer lies in the 5 books that he quickly grabbed off the fucking shelf.
Well, it probably does, because we got a hint of that from Gilly being like, Rhaegar remarried in Dawn. Like, it's like, ugh. It's annoying. I don't know. I'm getting more frustrated with this episode as I keep talking about it. But anyways, we see Tyrion and Varys talking about Daenerys. And Tyrion, tells Varys that he doesn't know what else he could have done. And Varys makes it very clear that she shouldn't have burned Randall and Dick and Tarly, which, what else could she have done? I don't know.
She couldn't puss out at that point.
They refused to bend the knee, and they refused to join the Night's Watch. They refused to be... Well, they didn't want to make them prisoner, but I don't know. I just don't know what else she could have done. Tyrion says that he's her hand, not her head. And Varys keeps going on about the Mad King, saying that the reason he kept a stable conscience is because he kept telling himself that he wasn't doing it. And I think it's kind of crazy that Varys is telling this story, because it's like, that's not Daenerys. That wasn't Daenerys at all in this situation. So I think it was kind of out of hand. Like Varys was comparing it to him trying to make him feel more morally stable because the Mad King was burning everybody, and he was comparing that to Daenerys. I think it was kind of a stretch.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like they're exaggerating her reaction. Like, she had to do what she had to do. Yeah, it seemed awful, but she's never beheaded anyone before.
Yeah, I don't know. And then Tyrion says that he needs to find a way, and then Varys says that Tyrion needs to find a way to make her listen. But it's like, listen I don't know. It's confusing. But this just makes me think that, again, Varys may end up supporting Jon. Jon's been known to not like killing things, and he does when he has to. But Daenerys also had to kill Randall and Dickon Tarly because they refused to do anything else. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Dickon was being a real dick.
It's a tough situation. And
not surrendering.
Yeah, and I've gone over it again and again, how and why I think Varys would support Jon. Just check out my other videos. I'm too annoyed to get into it right now.
I don't know. I really don't know. When it comes to those two, she seems like she's totally smitten with Jon, and anything goes.
Yeah.
Because look at what she let other people get away with.
I know.
Jon has a free pass.
Jon literally rode to Dragonstone and said, "No, I'm not bending the knee."
No.
And she just said, "Okay, go to your chambers. I'll deliver you some food."
Yeah, exactly. And I'll give you all the whatever you want to, like, chip off the rocks from my home.
Fuck, man.
But that's what I mean. So I don't know how they jumped to... You're making me annoyed with this episode now. And I actually liked it.
I liked it when I was watching it, but, like, there's so much shit. Like, make it 8. Make it 9 episodes. Like, this is rushed. Like, why are you rushing it? So annoying. Jon finds out that Arya and Bran are alive. Fantastic. But then that's quickly brushed off because they need time for Jon to explain that the Night King is marching towards Eastwatch. So Jon pretty much tells her that he wants to go home. And Daenerys says that she can't leave and help fight them because Cersei will move in and take over all the rest of Westeros when she leaves. Maybe you can help explain this to me. But Tyrion says, "Oh, perhaps not. We can prove her wrong. We can go capture a wight." So Jon pretty much goes on saying that they saw the first wight when he was brought back into Castle Black from beyond the wall.
Yeah.
Varys makes the obvious statement that it's useless if Cersei doesn't give them an audience. And Tyrion says that the only person that Cersei listens to is Jaime. So Tyrion thinks that the only way he can get Cersei to listen is to have a talk with Jaime.
Yes.
The whole logic in this, politically, from fighting a war standpoint, from Tyrion's perspective, makes absolutely no sense to me. So Tyrion wants to prove that there's a wight to stop Cersei attacking and fight in this war, right?
Yeah.
But Daenerys' worry is that if she goes and helps them capture a wight, then Cersei will come and take over everything else. So it's clear that Daenerys is going to stay at Dragonstone. So what problem is Tyrion solving here? Because they made it... I don't even know. It was kind of a mess for me.
Every single castle and house got a letter saying there's bad dudes coming north of the wall. Right? This is the logic. Every single player in the entire kingdom of Westeros is now aware of the Night's King. Mm-hmm. Whether they believe it or not, it's out there, right? People are talking, people are wondering, people are speculating. If Team Targaryen captures a wight and brings it to wherever they are expecting to bring it in front of people, and they show them that this is the threat, then they are the ones that have the power, is what seems like the logic here.
I just don't, there's no...
But they're banking on Cersei not believing in this at all.
They're banking on, they want Cersei's support, but they don't want her to bend the knee, and they know that she won't bend the knee, but they're still trying to make this truce. And if she does make a truce, they're going to have to kill her and take over King's Landing after anyway.
Yeah, but I think they've accounted for that she won't. That's why they're trying to undermine her by showing up with this undead creature that is relentless and won't stop until you've killed it with dragonstone or fire. And to totally, like I said, undermine the queen who's saying this is all bullshit.
Yeah, this whole scene, I don't get the jump. Like, Davos immediately says, "I'll smuggle Tyrion in." Like, so Tyrion thinks that he can convince Jaime now, which I don't think I'd put my hand in the hand of the queen in that kind of a situation. And then Jorah asks permission to go north to capture a wight, which Daenerys doesn't even believe. And Jon says that he will go. Daenerys naturally looks upset, but then he tells her that he doesn't need her permission and that she needs to trust him, so she lets him go. I just don't, like, for me it became, everything turned on a dime, and instead of Tyrion deciding how to fight the war against Cersei, he all of a sudden comes up with an idea of how to capture a wight. Like, he literally came up with a plan for Jon Snow. It doesn't benefit Daenerys at all, and she's totally okay with it. And I'm the valuable chess piece here. I'm the hand of the queen, but I'm going to go to King's Landing. Like, the whole thing to me just didn't add up.
Yeah, I can see it from your perspective. But at the same time, they got to move these gears, man. They got to move the story along. How would you see it happening? What would you rather have them do?
I have no idea. It just seemed so sudden. Like, Daenerys all of a sudden was on the side, and I don't know. I feel like there could have been a better way to do it. It just felt like, to me, they were like, we really need a cool hard home, like a new thing in hard home. It'd be cool if we had a lot of cool characters that we already know. So the only way to get them together is to do this. So they did that for the sake of having what we're getting next episode. But it's like, yeah, to me, I don't know. Like, Jon's totally okay with capturing a wight, even though he witnessed hard home, which was just total, they got decimated.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand that logic. Like, he's out there preaching how dangerous they are, and he's willingly going to go back north of the wall to try and capture one? You don't just find one wight. I just
That's where I suspend my disbelief.
It's the stupidest thing ever.
He's encountered them before, and they've never been alone. They got lucky with that first one because it ended up being something that woke up at Castle Black. It wasn't like they captured one alive.
Yeah, and it was like separate, and like Winter wasn't there yet. It was just a whole other thing. But now it's known information that they're traveling to Eastwatch. So Jon's like, okay, let's go to Eastwatch and take one. Like, how? I really don't get it. It's so dumb.
Yeah, their plan has no lot. They don't have a plan. They just literally open the door and march north.
Yeah, and another thing, like, fuck, man. It's so annoying. Like, in my predictions, I had a reason why the Brotherhood would go to Eastwatch, why Tormund would go to Eastwatch. But when we see everyone arrive, like, Jon's crew is there to capture a wight, and the Hound and the Brotherhood are there because they saw it in the flames. Like, they don't know why, but they have to go north of the wall. Like, I just, to me, it seems so, like, you had to stretch your disbelief because the Hound saw an arrowhead in the flames. I don't know, I wish it was explained better.
See, that to me, though, that's just fate. They don't know where they're going. He just saw the future, and they're not heading to the Arrowhead Mountain. They'll just be there by chance, and that's when he'll pick up, he's like, I fucking saw this. You know what I mean? That's something different. They ended up going that way. Whatever reason you want to say, maybe they wanted to go around the wall because they knew it was the least occupied watch.
I just hope all this has more significance going down the line. Like, I feel like a lot of stuff could have been fixed through Bran. Like, Bran is so connected to the White Walkers, they should rely on Bran for more of the storytelling. Like, if Bran versus Tyrion, if Bran was the one who said, you must go and take one of these back to prove to people that they have a threat to fight in the north, I would believe in that way more than I'd believe Tyrion's stupid idea.
Yeah, Bran could have played a bigger role in this, definitely. Especially he's the authority on this now. Since everyone seems, it's almost like we missed a scene of them believing in the validity of Bran's word. Because it's like some kid that was presumed dead sent a letter saying this is what's up, and everyone is expected to believe it, when there's still skepticism at the, let's say, for the lack of a better term, the center of where all the smartest people are, the Citadel. They're even skeptical. So for everyone else to just jump on board seems a little bit of a leap.
Yeah. Yeah, it just frustrated me. And I got, like, it's weird. Like, I have similar feelings as I did to the last, like, in Season 6, the third last episode, No One. I felt similar. Like, they kind of brushed over the whole Faceless Man story. And this is, again, the third last episode, and I feel like they just jumped the gun on certain things that didn't make any sense. But let's go to Winterfell, which I liked a bit more. So we see Arya walking in the main room, and the lords are upset because the King of the North is still not in the North. And Lord Glover says that maybe they should have had Sansa be their queen, which I think is a ridiculous statement.
Especially that, what annoys me about this, though, is that no one's addressing Bran.
Yeah, I know.
Like, Bran would be the de facto.
I know.
Like, he told Sansa, yeah, that's not me. But the time that this is supposed to be kind of set in the way that people are, they would kind of be pushing for it.
Yeah, and just certain things, like Lord Glover saying, like, he's not in the North. Like, are you kidding me, man? Like, he's north of the wall trying to prevent the White Walkers, which would come and kick your ass.
Yeah, he explained everything in full detail.
So it's like certain things are annoying. And then, you think Jon would be clear to the North about his mission, but I don't know if they got that here. And Lord Royce said that the Knights of the Vale came for Lady Stark, not Jon, which, I think that's a good point. But Sansa pretty much tells them that they're all kind for wanting to support her, but Jon is the king, and she said that Jon thinks he knows what he's doing best, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But Arya confronted Sansa, and I think it made a lot of sense. And we got a hint at Ghost, which is annoying. Like, they've never shown Ghost at all. Like, people don't even know if Jon still has a direwolf. And Sansa said that he can't leave the North and expected to sit like Ghost. So there's confirmation Ghost is sitting in Winterfell.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think you would want to bring him on this mission.
Yeah, they should have shown Ghost. It's frustrating. I'm frustrated.
You're really triggered this episode.
I am. As I'm talking more and more about it, I'm getting triggered. Yes, very triggered. And I have the potential to get very triggered with this storyline as well. Because I like how Arya told Sansa that, you've always liked nice things. It makes you feel like you're better than everyone. And you don't speak up in Jon's defense. Now, I think Sansa's well-founded in listening to her counsel. But I think Arya is right in saying that Sansa can't turn off the thought in her head that Jon won't make it back. And she wants to build allies for herself, and she wants to build support for herself because she doesn't think Jon's playing back. And that's a board game, that's a chess game that she's playing that Arya pointed out to Sansa.
Yeah, she's got 2 boards going.
Yeah, so I think it really shows that, Sansa's really come a long way. She learned in King's Landing from Cersei, from Littlefinger, and it's really showing here.
Well, she has to. She has to plan for the inevitable. Right?
Yeah.
She doesn't know, like, how many people in her family have died. Right?
Yeah.
So it's so unpredictable, the future. So I don't blame her for what she's doing. Plus the experiences that we've seen her go through. It's an obvious accumulation of her character. She's obviously going to be like this because of everything she's gone through.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Arya does have a point.
Yeah, true.
From her perspective.
Yeah, but obviously, Arya seems, questionable towards Littlefinger. I guess she saw him having kind of a drinks with Tywin discussing how to defeat Robb Stark. And this is where I'm getting a little nervous, is that you think, like, I got excited because you think Littlefinger's pulling these really sweet moves, right?
Yeah.
And he's getting whispers from people. He's paying people off. He's talking to Lord Royce and Glover. And then as he's standing outside, Maester Walken brings a scroll to him and ensure that it's the only copy in Winterfell.
Loudly proclaiming.
Yeah, and Littlefinger loudly points out, "Thank you, Lady Stark, thanks you for your service." And then Arya ends up sneaking in and finding the scroll, and we find out that Littlefinger wanted Arya to find that all along.
Yeah.
What's annoying about this is that it's a letter from Sansa telling Robb to bend the knee, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, to me, It's obvious, like, Littlefinger, I think even the producer said this, that Littlefinger wants to pit the sisters against each other.
Yeah, drive the wedge.
Yeah. I just think this is the stupidest way to do it. Like, I feel like the producers of the show looked at everything that they've revealed in all 6 seasons so far, and they said, oh, Sansa wrote a letter like this, and Littlefinger can use this. I think it's such a weak argument. And if Arya falls for it, I think it's ridiculously stupid.
I think she's just gonna confront Sansa with it, and Sansa's gonna fall apart about it.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with Arya's weakness. Arya is like a total outsider in this case. Yes, she's back in Winterfell, but she hasn't seen the political movements that have gone on since. So that's why she's loyal to tradition. That's why she's sticking up for Jon. She's happy that Jon is in the situation that he's in because she feels like that's a good fit, when she doesn't know all the key things that are happening.
Yeah.
And that's what Littlefinger's banking on.
I don't know.
Is this whole thing.
It's just like, they have other things. Like, he has Robin's ear. So if he wanted, he could try and get Robin to pull the military from the Vale. Like, I feel like that's a chess piece that would be worth losing. But Littlefinger's over here smuggling these notes that don't mean anything to try and put the Stark children against each other. Like, what would he get if Arya and Sansa were fighting? Like, I don't understand what he could pull from that.
I think he wants Arya out, but Sansa to stay put.
But Arya isn't even involved anyway. Like, she's just living in Winterfell.
Yeah, but she's a dangerous player.
Yeah,
he like, we saw the scene of him watching her spar with Brienne, so he knows, like, she's a killer. So, and now he knows that she's sneaking around. He doesn't want that kind of liability.
Yeah.
So he like, think about it too. He's outside of his realm. He's in Winterfell, and he can only work with what he has.
But he has the Vale army.
He's such a genius, though, to be able to pull everything off that he has with whatever little amount he has. Yes, he has the Vale army, but it would be a jarring move for him to say, okay, buddy called me home, so I gotta go.
It wouldn't be that. It'd be like using it as a chip. I don't know. I hope this story comes to, like, a satisfying conclusion.
Well, you gotta think too. He's trying to please Sansa. That's his weakness. He's trying to get in her good books desperately and shake off or eliminate anything in his way to that goal. And Arya is a new player, and this is his first move on her.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. If he thinks a petty fight between sisters will do the job, then he'll take it.
Yeah, all right. Anyways, let's go to King's Landing. I feel bad that I'm so annoyed, but, like, honestly, I enjoyed the episode, but as I'm talking about it, I'm just getting really frustrated about certain things.
You were aggro on episode 5. My goodness.
Yeah, well, Tyrion and Davos go to King's Landing, and Davos says that he has business to attend to in Flea Bottom. So they go. Bronn ends up connecting Jaime and Tyrion. And this is literally their interaction. So, the long-awaited interaction between the two Lannisters. Tyrion tells Jaime that he knows that he never wanted to meet with him, and he starts small talk, talking about the war, saying that Jaime outsmarted him, and father would have been proud. Jaime pretty much tells him to shut up, but Tyrion goes on, saying that their father hated him, not for who he is, but what he is. And Tyrion claims that Daenerys is not her father, and he tells Jaime that he will lose, and there's no way to get around it. And Jaime looks really emotional. I thought it was sold well, but I think there's a lot more that Tyrion could have said. And Tyrion says that Daenerys agrees to postpone the hostility towards each other if Cersei agrees to certain terms. And he says that he has an important request, that Cersei does not have to bend the knee now. So pretty much he said that they will postpone fighting if they have a conference with them and they show them this captured wight. If they cease fire.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so weak. And Tyrion knows Cersei. Like, he should know that Cersei would use this as a chip. Like, if Dragonstone's open, she doesn't care. She doesn't care. She's gonna take it anyway. Like a ceasefire to Cersei means nothing. I just don't get why Tyrion all of a sudden would trust Cersei to abide by Jaime's counsel.
I don't think he is, though. I see it a different way. I see it. This was a Hail Mary to Jaime to do the work. He's got to make Cersei trust the situation. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, him going there was an emotional strike at Jaime's heart to tell him that what the situation is. And it's up to Jaime to say, this is what's up and this is what's got to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the scene should have been so much longer. Like, it literally, the scene touched on Tyrion killing Tywin. And then they talked about capturing a wight. Like, the scene should have been longer where Tyrion could try and explain Daenerys and the way she is and why she is the way she is and why Tyrion even supports her. And I don't know. I just feel like there was so much more to be said and they just brushed over it. And because they brushed over it, it's like I'm doubting some of their motives. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see where the chips fall on this. Because I really think that Tyrion has accounted for Cersei in this.
Yeah.
And although we think that Cersei's going to plan a clever trap for whatever ends up happening, it's still open for debate whether or not Tyrion calculated what she would do. Or maybe it's like there's so many double blinds here. Like we have Littlefinger doing those things, thinking that he's not being watched, and at the same time it's almost like he calculated every movement to be watched by Arya. Whereas Tyrion was thwarted in these first couple of episodes by Cersei's logic of double back. Well, I should say Cersei and Jaime's logic of taking troops out of Castle Rock. So it's almost like he's redone his calculations, and he went out sort of as an emotional show to kind of weaken their view on him, appear vulnerable so that they kind of close in on him. So I really do feel like the ball is in Tyrion's court.
Yeah.
Because he did the double blind.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just wish we got a little more out of that scene.
Yeah, it's left to two guys on YouTube speculating about it. They obviously didn't satisfy either one of us because we both are on opposing viewpoints on it. But at the same time, I can't give them excuses. They don't have as many episodes.
Yeah, which I feel like they should add more. And then Jaime goes and tells Cersei about this, and he tells her that he met with Tyrion, and he pretty much tells her that Daenerys wants truce because of all these dead men. I guess it helps Daenerys' claim because she kicked their asses at Highgarden, so because she beat them so bad, it makes it more questionable why she would want truce. So I guess it helps her intentions.
Well, Jaime even said, we can't fuck with these guys. These Dothraki are ruthless. Even if we got the best soldiers paid for, as soon as the Dothraki show up, we can't compete with this. They kill for sport. They don't kill like anything we've ever seen.
Yeah.
So Cersei's at a now point, she's got to listen to Jaime because Jaime was boots on the ground in that whole situation. These dragons are serious business. These Dothraki are serious business. So she better listen to Jaime or it's going to be her ass. And this is what I feel is going to be her downfall, is the fact that she's not going to listen to Jaime. Because she's got Jaime wrapped around her finger now with the news.
Well, yeah, because she has little birds, I guess, everywhere through Qyburn. She says that she knew all along that Bronn set up the meeting between them.
Yeah.
She says that Bronn betrayed him, and she asks Jaime if he will punish Bronn.
Do you see Bronn going to seek Tyrion?
It's possible, but I know Jaime isn't going to punish Bronn, so I'm not sure what will happen to Bronn. But Cersei does make it clear to Jaime that a meeting is in their best interest. And then she goes on to say that they must fight like their father, and I guess I immediately thought of the Red Wedding. So, I don't, like, to me, I just don't understand. Like, why are you making truce with somebody who, instead of going to the Sept of Baelor, she blew the whole thing up? Like, I think it's been pretty clear, it's been proven to be very clear, that Cersei doesn't negotiate. She gets what she wants. And if she's losing this war, the worst thing you could do is march into King's Landing for a truce, because she'll kill you.
Well, there's two angles. The angle is that. The angle is, okay, let's bank on her being nice for these 5 minutes where we show up with this news of an unworldly enemy coming towards us. Or it's all a clever ploy, and they know how she is. And she's going to have she's going to attack with her greatest force at this point and will be ready. You know what I mean? Like it's a finishing. I feel like it's a finishing mover, and I think it's going to be the end of it. They didn't let on to this plan.
Yeah, but then
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They did this last season. Like you think that they're giving terms, and then they burned all the slavers.
Yeah.
So Tyrion has a secret win it all plan. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't have any proof of it, but that's how I see it, them pulling this off.
I hope so. But one more thing that annoyed me is that Cersei's pregnant. Like, why? Like, it's just so frustrating. Like, I feel like...
No, see, I disagree. I think it's perfect.
I get it with Jaime, because it makes him even more loyal to Cersei, and it makes him fight for her irrationally. Which I get.
I think this was her downfall with Jaime.
I just feel like it was so... Like, they just threw it in there for emotion. Like...
No, listen how perfect this is, man. He was weak to her. Okay? She's, like, literally burned through all their kids in her grab for the power of the throne. She's putting this up as the new dynasty. This is fresh start, no more bullshit. This is gonna be the legacy. Okay?
I saw that too, but...
He just checked out from her. He's in it for this kid. That's how I feel. Like, he's like, thank God that this happened, because you were fucking annoying the shit out of me. And you got, like, that stabbing stare that he gave to her when she was sitting on the throne from the last episode of the season before.
I still feel like he kind of loves her, though. Like, he's not done with Cersei.
No, he's not done with Cersei, but he just switched loyalties, though. So that's why I think it was a bad play on her side, because she thinks that, oh, I hold the key to his loyalty. This child is the key to his loyalty, and she's going to play it wrong. She's going to, whether it even exists, that's the whole other story, right?
I don't know. To me, it's so clear that this baby was just written in for emotion, because prophecies written by George R.R. Martin is that she will have 3 children. Gold will be their crowns and gold their shrouds. And they already addressed that she had a Baratheon baby in the first season, which ended up dying, and now she's pregnant again. Like, this baby isn't gonna be born.
Exactly. I don't even know if it exists, though. That's what I'm trying to say, is she put his loyalty in her womb. And when it comes to fruition that this thing doesn't exist, or she played him in some other way.
I think the baby exists.
Well, either way, it's going to be her downfall, because she's using this baby as Jaime's carrot on a stick. And that's what's going to cause it to... This is the wedge between them now. It doesn't seem like it now, but in a few episodes from now, we'll see that it is absolutely what's going to end them.
Yeah. We will see. But anyways, Davos goes and visits Gendry. And, like, just bottom line, it was a really good scene. I liked it. Gendry was funny. He immediately just wanted to go and fight. I don't know. I got mixed feelings. Like, I really enjoyed the scene, but mixed feelings because I just feel like he was shoehorned in there. Like, I just wished he had a purpose. other than just being like, oh yeah, I'll come with you guys. I'll forge for you guys. I just thought it could have been handled better, or just give him a purpose. I don't know. But then we figure out that he has a hammer like his father, and they end up trying to get on the boat, and Tyrion comes in and raises suspicion, so Gendry ends up killing them both.
Yeah. They had to show that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. It was good. Bottom line is that Davos doesn't want Gendry telling everybody about his name, which, you know, I don't know. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. The whole thing didn't add up. Like, instead of just Davos going there to save Gendry, why don't we use Gendry because of his name or because of his ability, rather than just, oh, let's save Gendry because we know of him. Or, like, you know, trying to hide his name, even though that's really significant.
Yeah, like, all they really need to do is have Davos say, I know a really good smith.
We're
going to King's Landing. Give me 5 minutes.
Yeah, like, Jesus Christ. Bastard of Robert
Something
Baratheon.
like
He's somewhat significant. He's able to forge stuff. He could help forge Valyrian steel if he had the right formula. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have given him purpose.
Not even that. Just like, I have an asset. You give me 5 minutes when we go to King's Landing.
Yeah, like, I feel like that a reason for saving Gendry would have made more sense than Tyrion going to negotiate with Jaime. Like, that to me didn't make any sense. But anyways, we continue on with Gendry, and Gendry pretty much walks in and gets to meet Jon. And I really like this scene too, because they kind of connected over their fathers, or Jon's uncle if you want to get really technical.
Yeah.
But I found it funny that Gendry immediately says that he's a Baratheon, even though Davos told him not to, because he wants to trust Jon and he wants to, you know, have a good friendship like their fathers. Yeah. And I just thought, yeah, it was a good interaction. Jon said he's a lot leaner than his dad. Gendry says he's shorter. They end up kind of laughing about it. And he volunteers to go to Eastwatch. One funny thing about this scene is that Gendry's father actually killed Jon's father. So I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. It won't play a part going forward, but I think just knowing that secret is really... I just think it's really interesting.
With a hammer.
Yeah, I know. I found this scene interesting. I just wish we got more. Like, I wanted more interaction between them. Like, Gendry seemed like a desperate schoolgirl. Like, I'll fight with you. Yeah, I'll go with you. Let's be friends. Like, I don't know. I just wish there was more to it.
Yeah.
But anyways, on with my bitching. They leave for Eastwatch. Tyrion gives Jorah a coin for their time together. I like that a lot. Jorah promises to come back, which I'm sure he will. They end up saying goodbye. And Jon pretty much tells her that she won't have to deal with the King of the North any longer. And Daenerys is swooning for Jon, so she says that she's grown used to him.
It's almost like they enhanced her eyes to be bigger.
I don't know. But Jon wishes her good fortune in the wars to come, which I find funny because Arthur Dayne said that, Mance Rayder said that to Stannis before he was burned alive. So I don't know if that has any significance. Both of them have died right after saying that. And I don't know. I found it interesting. All these connections to Mance Rayder I'm finding really interesting lately because Jon heard Mance Rayder say, I wish you good fortune in the wars to come. And Jon refuses to bend the knee because, not because of pride, just like Mance Rayder's reasons. So I think the connections are growing stronger between them.
Yeah. He may be the king beyond the wall.
What's that?
He may be the king beyond the wall soon enough.
Yeah, and then we quick get a shot of Sam, but I think we bitched about that enough. He's counting scrolls, learning about the number of shits and stairs in the Sept of Baelor. And Gilly ends up saying, Maynard issued an annulment to Prince Rhaegar and remarried to someone else in Dorne. So it's like that's hitting you over the head with, okay, so now Jon is going to be a legitimate Targaryen.
Yeah, he's legit.
And the piece was in front of Sam the whole time and he didn't realize it. it's frustrating. Like, I want to see Sam figure it out And I feel like they were just trying to make light of this. And I don't know. I'm just annoyed.
They definitely did. They were making light of the situation. It was almost like they had a humor break, and this is what they put into it.
Like, they gave us a secret to Jon's past, that he's not just a bastard Targaryen, he's a legitimized Targaryen. And Sam didn't. And Sam brushed it off because of 1,000 shits and all this stuff. Like, it's like, God damn it. Like, let him figure stuff out. Like, I get it that Gilly figured it out. That's cool, but honestly, I wish it had more meaning.
But do you think Gilly knows this now?
No. Like, I think they're going to pull this stupid thing. Sam's going to go to Winterfell. And this is literally what I think is going to happen because the show is so simple. Like, the last 2 episodes have been very simple. Literally, Sam's going to get to Winterfell. Bran's going to say, I've been watching you. You're friends with Jon. I need to speak to Jon. Jon's a Targaryen. And Sam's going to be like, oh my. You're saying he's a Targaryen? That means Rhaegar's his dad? And then he's going to be like, oh, Gilly, you said that to me, whatever. And then they're just going to pull that out. And that's going to be the proof that Jon's a Targaryen. It's going to be so weak. Unless they go in the crypts and prove it with, like, a harp or something. But I don't think we're going to see that harp in a flashback because they're not going to go back with Bran anymore because they have no time. So frustrating.
I thought they hired, like, an actor with white hair.
I don't know. I hope we see him. But I don't know. It's so frustrating.
I don't think it's going to be this next episode, but it could be the last one.
Like, God damn it. Like, honestly, Sam, like, he goes on this quest. And this is what he discovers. He discovers dragon glasses on Dragonstone, and he says, oh, Stannis even told me that, but I didn't even think about it. Well, it's like, really? And then this he totally brushes over, which is a very, it seems like a significant piece of history. I know he doesn't know that anything about Jon, but it's an important piece of history.
No, but he was super frustrated at the time. That was what the stupid humor part about it was.
I know, but I wish that they
that at the time where he's like, just like, shut the fuck up, Gilly.
I don't know.
She reads that fact out.
I feel like I'm in the complaining mode, so I'm being a bit hard on it, but really. And just Heartsbane too. Like, he stole Heartsbane, and there's nothing about it at all. Like, I thought he would use it to try and learn how to reforge Valyrian steel. He'd try and melt it down. He'd make 2 of them. He'd take that formula and teach Gendry how to do it, which would make him significant other than just being a fighter. So, I don't know. We haven't seen that at all.
To me, if he's done with the Citadel, is a really hard leap.
It's annoying. And then he just...
Like, I almost feel like he should be called back.
When he's done at Hornhill, he takes his dad's sword. When he's done at Old Town, he takes the books. Like, it's like, honestly... And the one thing I liked about the scene is that they filmed him exiting the same way he arrived. So I did appreciate that. And at the end, he says he's tired about reading about the achievements of better men. That's what his dad told him in Hornhill. So it's cool that Sam said that when his dad dies. So I think we'll see Sam kind of create his own destiny now, which, I liked.
Yeah.
With the very little books that he stole. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's the lame part of it, because that's what makes me double think that he is left because of the way that he did leave, with the scene showing like the giant solar system thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, dude, I think
I feel like he's not done there. Like, he should have reconciled with the head maester to prove that he's the bomb. You know what I mean? Like, there's just, that seems unresolved to me.
Like, Sam should have been in communication with Daenerys, and Jon. Like, I feel like he should have been very close to Jon, telling him of the dragon glass, but then realizing how to create Valyrian steel. Like, and Sam would be the driving force of the mission to go to King's Landing. But the mission to King's Landing wouldn't be getting the hand of the queen to go talk to his brother. That to me is weak. The mission would be to save this guy who is a Baratheon bastard who can be really important to Daenerys, as well as someone who can reforge this Valyrian steel.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then the team arrive at Eastwatch, which is the title of this show, of this episode, which is named after the last minute of the episode. So Jon pretty much gives Tormund the rundown, and Tormund's pretty much knows that they're capturing this wight for 2 queens, Queen Cersei and Queen Daenerys, to help fight against the threat. But then Tormund ends up taking them to the Brotherhood, And Beric pretty much tells them that they don't want to go beyond the wall. They have to, so that's fate for them. And now, naturally, there's a lot of different people who hate each other here. Gendry's mad at the Brotherhood because they traded him. Jorah greets Thoros, which means that Tormund learns that Jorah's last name is Mormont. So he's mad at Jorah because of Jeor, his father. He hunted them down. So yeah, they're conflicting. Jon sets them free because they're breathing. And then they march north of the wall to capture one wight out of hundreds of thousands. Do you think they're going to defy all odds?
Yes.
It's like, fuck, man.
I just want to know the kill count, because there's too many good guys in that fucking circle.
I bet you any money they all make it out.
Every single one of them?
Not every single one, but like there's a couple of generic guys that we haven't learned the faces of. They're gonna die, and maybe we lose one guy. I feel like they're gonna keep the majority of people alive.
I think the Darian's gone. He was destined to die here.
Yeah, we'll see. I just hope that it makes sense. Like, I'm gonna talk about it in the preview, but there's so much. If you look at all the pieces together, it just seems like a jumbled mess. One moment they're walking, and then they see a horde of wights kind of moving, so then they fight them, but then they're alone again, surrounded by snow, and they're deserted, and then they're running for a rock. It's just like, I don't understand how they're going to make it out of that. And then you see like fire, which means that Daenerys is coming to rescue them, no doubt. But how does that even make sense? Like, I don't know how she's going to get there. I don't know how she's going to find out. It's just a giant mess for me. So I hope they can find a way to pull it off. But I feel like from what I've seen with all the trailers, there's no clean way to bring all of these pieces together.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I don't know how you're going to capture a wight. I don't know how you're going to hold on to a wight while you're too busy running for your life. Like, to me, it just doesn't make any sense.
You don't think they would know to bring fire with them?
I don't know.
Jon would know.
Yeah, I
you know what I mean? Like, he would know to bring fire.
Really bring fire? Like, how do you keep that? I don't know.
Something.
I don't know.
Torches.
I don't know.
Oils from oil lamps.
I don't know. I don't really, honestly, I don't have anything else to say about this episode, just because it's like, I liked it, but I don't want to say any more because I'm just going to bash on it and like, yeah, I don't want to be negative all the time.
Dondarrion's sword is a fucking lightsaber, literally. So he could light shit on fire.
Yeah, so we're probably going to see that a bit, but I don't know. That's all I have to say. Is there anything else you have to add?
I don't know, man. You changed my mind on this whole episode.
Did I? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you really brought me down.
Sorry, man. I apologize.
But
it might get enhanced by the next episode. I don't know.
It was maybe an episode on Fast Forward.
It was hugely on Fast Forward. God damn it.
So suspend your disbelief.
It should have been 8. It should have been 8 to 10 episodes.
One.
So frustrating. But that's it.
That's it. Until next time.
Bye.